Peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abba, aka Mr. Just the Facts. What's going on? What's going on, family? As y'all come in, make sure y'all hit that like button. Share the video out. Let people know this the takeover breaks over. Straight up. I mean, look, if you would like to support the platform, use the Cash App handle Be the Power. You can also use the Super Chat. We have the Patreon link in the description. PayPal link is in the description. Support. I see Coop Farilla in the building. Sister Shanna in the building. Peace, Derek Smith and Rob Smith. Peace to the fam. So far, my brothers of Be the Power, our other freedmen, freedom correspondents will be on deck soon. Golden Panthero said I scared the ish out of him. What happened, bro? What's going on? Talk to me. But today we will be talking about the launch of our new website. Peace, what's going on, Vince Jefferson? X Sister Fate XX, peace. And we got our brother back in the building, our brother Dr. Logic Supreme. So
yes, sir. Peace, Freedmen. What's going on? Hold on, let me get my setup. It's been a minute. Let me get my setup right, man.
That's what I'm talking about. The other brother should be coming on soon. But tonight we are going to discuss our website launch. Nice, simple website with the very, very powerful message on it. And we are going to go over our 12-point agenda tonight. And on a future stream, we are going to go over our Reparations 101 page, which is one of the most powerful pieces on reparations that's on the internet. Period. So peace, brother Cato. So look, make sure y'all hit the like button. Make sure y'all share this video out. If you are not subscribed to the channel, hit that little bell icon next to it so that you can become a part of the notification nation and know every single time that we at Be the Power go live so you don't miss anything. Hit that little bell icon next to it so you can get every notification. So I'm waiting for my brother to get set up, my brother Logic. There you go. You know, unmute yourself, bro.
We in the building. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. So, look, man, we got this new website. We got a powerful message that we need to get out here to the people. You want to say something before we pull it up?
Yeah, well, you know, like the website is a necessity, but what like should be like all attention tonight is on like we are releasing the Freedmen 12-point program and platform agenda. This is major, family. This is major. Everybody need to get it. Like we're going to run through the points tonight. We're going to break them down. We're going to talk about them, but we're going to do an individual program on each point to flesh it out. So tonight, I know y'all going to have a lot of questions. At the end, we'll bring y'all on. We'll talk about some of those questions. But we're gonna do 12 separate programs on each part of the platform to go in depth to let y'all know like this isn't just some fly-by-night stuff we put together. We really understand what this moment calls for, and we are ready to execute. People been asking us like, what's the vision call for? What do we need to do? We're here to provide guidance, direction, and purpose. That's what this platform is all about. That's what this Freedmen agenda is about. This is the one banner that we all can come under. Like this is the most specific banner and unifying thing that you can. I'm already starting to. Y'all can tell I missed the program, right? Let's go ahead and get started before I just start going in, right? And we can start rolling this thing out.
Oh, definitely, man. So look, first and foremost, let us put the website in the chat so everybody can read along with us, share it out, let it be known that we're coming with a powerful message, a powerful measure, and an actual plan. I told y'all when we first started doing Be the Power that we were not just here to talk about this stuff. It was just that COVID has been ravaging our country for the past couple of years, and your brothers that's on the screen right now had also succumbed to this virus that's spreading, this deadly pathogen, right? You know, and we are blessed to be here today. So, but with that said, I should say we always said that we weren't just going to be about talking, that eventually this thing was going to translate into a boots on the ground, hands on, tangible movement. And we are in the process of putting that together right now. Some pieces are coming in place that need to be in place. That need to be in place. Period. So, Corey Laverne said, "Man, where the hell have y'all been? The brothers got missing like Jewels Santana's teeth." All right, so look, let's start running through this thing, fam, because we want to make sure that y'all see. Did I put it in? Yeah, I did put it in the chat. Let me put it up on the screen. That's bethepower.org. www.bethepower.org. You guys should have clicked on it already. Our Freedmen family, y'all run through some of the points, run through the reparations page. As you can see, we put some real effort and thought into creating this so that we can get behind a platform that moves us forward. It is not final. Anything can be adjusted, but as of right now, we think that this thing is where it's at. So let's get into this 12-point political agenda. So we're going to do as our brother Logic said, we're going to touch on number 4 tonight. But I want to read them off before we get into it. So number 1, and this is the Be the Power political agenda in conjunction with the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. Number 1, by way of the 13th Amendment in 1865, our enslaved American ancestors were freed from private bondage nationally. Congress passed the Freedmen's Act of 1865 and 1866 on behalf of those ancestors then identified as freedmen. As their direct descendants, we demand to be recognized by the federal government, its Office of Management and Budget in its federal directive as freedmen. Number 2, we demand that the federal government reestablish the Freedmen's Bureau. And we're going to do, as our brother Logic said, we're going to do breakdowns to every last one of these points.
Yo, but let's speak to them though tonight. Let's speak to each point. We'll go in depth on number 4. Mm-hmm. But let's speak. We'll do an entire programs, but let's speak to some of this stuff.
Okay, right? So did you any of these you wanted to speak to real quick?
Yeah,
one or two?
Yeah. Okay. Let's speak to number 1, right? Why is number 1 so important, and why is it number 1? Because this is what we are all coming under the banner of. You know what I'm saying? The 13th Amendment, that the emancipated people, we always looking for a movement, a political organization that was specific, right? This is the most specific, historically specific, and politically specific identity that we have. You understand? Through this movement, we've talked about the Civil Rights Act of 1866. You don't have no Civil Rights Act of 1866 without the Freedmen involvement. We've talked about Special Field Order 15. You don't get Special Field Order 15 without the Freedmen's involvement, right? We've talked about Reconstruction. You don't get Reconstruction history without the freedmen's involvement. We talked about the Great Migration, which we call the Great Escape, right? You don't get that situation without the freedmen reality and the freedmen's involvement, right? So the sons and daughters of freedmen is who we are, right? And so this is the most specific identity, and it's the most recognized identity by the federal government and state government that talks and directs and speaks to our specific bloodline families. You understand? Our bloodline families were recognized as freedmen in this country, right? 1865. That's what the whole F1 is about. Freedmen first. Since 1865, that's where our minds have to be rooted in a freedmen first agenda, because we, the freedmen, were the people who were emancipated into poverty and homelessness. It wasn't nobody else. It was the freedmen. You understand? And what we're talking about, the Freedmen Acts of 1865 and 1866, we're talking about the Freedmen. It's called the Freedmen's Bureau, and the Freedmen's Bureau, the Freedmen's Refugees and Abandoned Lands Act of 1865 and 1866, where they talked about, these are Reconstruction Acts, they're known as, and they're also known as Freedmen Acts, right? Where America was going through Reconstruction right after the Civil War. This is the most important part of American history. So that is who we are. We don't like, and so like you have other terms out here, right? And a lot of us are familiar with one of the most known terms, which is the ADOS term, right? But then when you talk about ADOS, right, and by the own creators of this specific language articulation, they said that it's of the American descendants of slavery, not slaves. The institution, not the people, right? So when you attach, when that's the identity you're trying to run with, you have to understand that what you did was you slipped when you made that identity and that specification, because all foundational Americans come through that institution. The American government was built on that institution. The institution is about slave owners and slaves themselves. So if you say that you're attaching yourself to the institution, then you got to attach yourself to everything that comes with it and everybody that comes with it. So all the foundational Americans came through that institution. So we can't really do a reparations push and have a reparations initiative under such a title that incorporates the slave master, because by our own unwittingness and unknowingness, we done packaged him in that deal.
That's
because
right.
We're talking about, we're descendants of the institution itself. The institution don't discriminate. It got the slave, it got the slave master, it got the bankers, it got the traders, it got the whole kit and caboodle. We are here to we're here to delineate and make a specific identification of who we are calling justice for. And
That's
that
right.
is sons and daughters of freedmen, those emancipated persons. Because when you talk about a lineage and you talk about a bloodline, you're talking about a people, you're talking about families, you're talking about all of our families that have been forced through this institution, been processed, bred, and created by that institution of slavery. I'm not talking about the institution itself. I'm talking about the people, the specific people, the bloodline families. So these freedmen families are who we're talking about when we're talking about Hiram Revels, when we're talking about Prince Rivers, when we're talking about Robert Smalls. You understand? When we're talking about Frederick Douglass, when we're talking about all these great individuals, these are freedmen. You understand? And they have families. And we are attached to those families by way of bloodline connection. And it is our birthright. Birthrights don't come by way of institution affiliation. Birthrights come by way of bloodline affiliation.
That's right.
That's what we're talking about. That's what we are anchoring our movement in. And that's what we are anchoring our civil rights justice in, and our advocacy in bloodline history, right? And that's why we are the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. That's why we started this Freedmen movement. It's a ancestral debt we're collecting. You understand? That's why we're doing that. So, brothers and sisters, welcome into the fold. This is our movement.
That's right.
This thing of ours, this reparations justice, this. We are doing organized politics, right? We're doing organized economics, all in the name of the sons and daughters of freedmen. All right, so that's what I wanted to say about that first point. And we always take questions at the end. If anyone misunderstands what this freedman thing is about, we'll speak to it.
That's right. That's right. Doom, 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 doom. Okay. Yeah. Number two, I mean, we demand that the federal government reestablish the Freedmen's Bureau. That's something that we've been calling on from this platform for the longest. It is something that can be found in Dr. Sandy Darity and A. Kirsten Mullins' book. I was about to say, where do we go from here? I haven't made that slip in a long time, which is crazy. But I've been talking about that book lately, so that's probably why. From here to equality reparations for Black Americans in the 21st century. It's only right that this bureau gets reestablished. And we're gonna get a little deeper into that in time, right? We're gonna do a whole program dedicated to establishing the Freedmen's Bureau. So let's go to number three. Number three, we demand the immediate and complete deconfederatization of the United States of America. No child in Germany is forced to attend schools named after Adolf Hitler or drive down a road named in honor of the Nazi regime or its officers. By the same token, no American child should be made to attend public schools named in honor of Confederate war criminals. No patriotic American soldier should serve in the United States military, on bases named in honor of traitorous, insurgent, anti-federalists. And when we say deconfederatization, I want the the Dukes of Hazzard canceled. Get that off TV.
Get it off.
Get it off TV. We want it all gone. Yeah, you want to speak to that, bro?
Yes, we must speak to it because this is a part of one of our major initiatives we're going to be launching very soon, and we need all volunteers on deck, right? Our deconfederatization initiative, right? Nationally, it's going to start state by state. Look at what we just said, right? And how important that is. You can't go to Germany right now and see a swastika flag being waved over any state building. You can't see, you won't drive down any road named after Adolf Hitler. You won't find a Heimlich Himmler elementary school. You won't be able to attend a Joseph Goebbels Film Institute. That stuff doesn't exist. Why? Because after World War II, there was a denazification of Germany.
That's
rightfully so. That was justice. But after the Civil War, there was never a deconfederatization of the United States of America. We're talking about people who tried to destroy the Union and tear it apart. And so we saw glimpses of this happening earlier last year, right? And so people got nutty. They thought it was all about slavery. They was like, so what's next? We're going to take George Washington's statue down too. This call for deconfederatization is exactly what it is. It's not about who owns slaves. This particular part of the initiative is not about slavery. It's about confederatism, right? And deconfederatization. You understand? So we're talking about those traitors who waged war against the Union. You understand? And were involved in the bloodiest war in American history, fighting to keep our brothers and sisters in private bondage. You understand? This was the war that ended private bondage. A lot of people disagree with the Freedmen banner saying that we really wasn't free. What we did was we ended private bondage. You understand? None of our ancestors at that particular time was able to be owned as chattel by any individual or private person. That ended without doubt or contradiction. You understand? So we were freedmen at that point. But any traitor who participated in the preservation, right, of the slave system or the Confederate States of America, you understand, cannot be memorialized in this country. We will not send our children to Robert E. Lee High School. We will not send our children to Fort Polk military. We will not have it. We will not have it. And you got to understand, our ancestors were disgraced. Imagine your ancestors having to see these statues of these people raised in their lifetime. You understand? These people who fought to destroy war to keep us in private bondage. You understand? We should not have to deal with that, and we will not accept it. So we're going state by state, from South Carolina to Virginia to North Carolina, Mississippi, Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, all across this country. We will not accept a Confederate monument on any state property. We will have, not only will we just take them down, we want them replaced.
That's
in,
right.
In South Carolina, we want Prince Rivers and Robert Smalls erected in place of these traitorous criminals. You understand?
That's right.
In Louisiana, we need Hiram Revels. You understand? So we have the replacement. We have the history to be preserved. The United Sons and Daughters will undo the madness that the United Daughters of the Confederacy produced. You understand? That's part of the reason why this organization was born in the first place. We will not have that. And it's anyone to see that as, it's not just taking down mere symbolism. You had some Negroes talking about, we don't need symbolism, we need public men. Fuck that. They will not be able to have their evil heroes on state capitals where our tax dollars pay for. We're not right. You understand? We will not have it. That is an injustice, and we will fight against it until our very deaths. So deconfederatization is a very important part and cornerstone of our platform, and we will be looking for volunteers in the future to spearhead some of these initiatives in these states.
That's right. That's right. Let's go. Number 4. This is the one we're going to really focus on tonight, but we're going to still read through them. But this is the one that we're focusing on tonight. Number 4, we demand a reconstructive Freedmen agenda, which consists of a fully funded program to facilitate a state repatriation program for the freedmen. This program will provide the resources necessary for this relocation back to their southern states of origin, where freedmen were forced to escape due to government-sanctioned domestic terrorism and state oppression. These states are Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Delaware. Now,
Maryland and Delaware.
Excuse me, Maryland and Delaware. I was trying to get to my next point before I even finish reading. So I want to pull this up real quick. I want to pull this up. Well, I'm not going to screen share it. The definition of reconstructive, according to Oxford Languages, adjective, relating to the rebuilding of something after it has been damaged or destroyed. We have been damaged, we have been destroyed by America's policies, by America's racism, by America's discrimination, by everything that harms the citizenry in any upright nation. We have been harmed by those things. So it is time for us to get behind. It is time for us to get behind a reconstructive Freedmen agenda.
Yes.
This is what you call specificity right here.
Absolutely.
There's no ambiguity in what we're laying out tonight. None at all. Go ahead, Brother Logic. Break it down, bro.
Yo, and this is like, all of them are my favorite points. I can't remember. If I had to pick one of my favorite points in the platform, it would have to be point 4, right? I don't think y'all really understand what we're talking about when we are talking about this reconstructive Freedmen agenda. This is the most powerful agenda for our people right now. This is the most powerful political strategy. This is the most powerful agenda you can be associated with for our people. This is the most transformational. You understand? It will transform our lives. We have never, just understand this. We have never lived a life where a single state has had a black majority populace. You understand? We have not had a black, we don't know what it's like to control a single state. All we have done has been a political football kicked back and forth. You understand? Used as to swing vote this way, that way, to the left or to the right. So when they come to us, we can't be full chested about the things that we want, and we can't really make demands with absolute leverage. You understand? But because all we can do is deliver however many votes we can pull together. But when we have 65, when we control the controlling interest, 65 to 70% of a state, now we can say, when they say, well, what do you have? What can you do? We're delivering Alabama. We have the state of Mississippi. We have, and everything that comes with that. You want to talk about criminal justice reform? Dominate a state numerically. You understand? Where you can, we have never been, just understand this, right? There has never been a senator. Just understand this for a second. In 235 some odd years, there has never been a senator that has been installed and elected by a black majority. Never. You understand? A U.S. senator. You understand? Not ever. Every senator that we've had like 10 black senators. None of them were installed by a black majority. Understand what that means. Politicians are beholden to the people that install them. And when we are not a part of the majority that's installing them, we are not going to get the majority of the accountability. You understand? Or the representation. Due to the fact that Reconstruction was overthrown, the purpose and intent behind that was to cut us and sever us from democracy and getting that representation. You understand? Representative democracy is how policy is moved. It's how America is shaped and fashioned. You understand? We have never been able to impact states' rights. So we have never fully received or experienced the benefits of a federalist society. You understand? Because we were forced out of the South through what they call the Great Migration. But none of us really, our people didn't want to leave. We were forced out through what point 4 says: domestic terrorism, government sanctioned by you, right? Government sanctioned terrorism domestically, and state oppression. If you go, like, all of this is detailed and archived quite expertly in From Here to Equality, right? The intent behind deconfederatization, you can understand it if you get and read and study From Here to Equality, right? If you want to understand what we're talking about with the this whole movement, right? We get Charles Blow expert work, The Devil You Know. You understand? And you will, it's an expert where we interviewed him on this platform and we had a great discussion with him. And you just got to understand the political possibilities of this agenda. What was that? 9 states? If let's say we got a political majority or enough to be the majority influence in those states, now we control 18 senators. And we're talking about pure reparations for the sons and daughters of freedmen. What better way to secure that than be controlling 18 senators?
That's right.
Come on now. Now, just with a few of those states alone, I think it's North Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, and Louisiana, we will control enough electoral votes. We will control more electoral votes than California and New York combined.
That's right.
Come on now, this is political power.
That's right.
Don't you know we've never been a part of a majority coalition that's installed a governor? We don't run no states. We don't have no state power. You understand? This is the ultimate. And we're not calling for everyone to come back to the South. About 44% of our brothers and sisters live outside of the South right now. So the majority of our people are still in the South right now. We are only calling for half of that. We only need about 22% of the people to come back home. And we're not strangers. All y'all have family in the South. So don't look at it as if we're coming to a strange land to group up with a strange people. These are our aunts and uncles and our cousins. This is a story of the prodigal children returning home. You understand? We're just coming back home. And don't think of it as everywhere in the South is some place where just cotton and sticks and woods exist. There's plenty of urban communities, all that will satisfy your urban desires all over the South. Don't believe that you got that it's gonna be a like that's bullshit. A boring life where ain't nobody gonna go down to the south and what's down there? It ain't nothing but slow country niggas down there. No, your family's down here. Opportunity is down here. You understand?
That's right.
Economic opportunity is down here. Political power is down here. The chance to shape and actually be able to impact America in a transformative way, in a way that we can be in charge of our own political destinies, is down here waiting on us. You understand? All we have to do is come. And then we ain't telling nobody to come tomorrow. You understand? This is a plan that we are looking to take 10 years, a decade of transition. Everybody, it's already happening. We just want to expedite the situation.
Speed this joint up.
It's join up. So, and you'll see the benefits.
That's
but we're
right.
gonna go, like I said, we're gonna do a whole we'd already done a whole program on it, a couple programs on it, but we'll do it again.
That's right. That's right. So, Josh and Ali is in the building. Ali, you came through first. The Freedmen Freedom Correspondence is on deck. Be the Power is in the building.
Yes.
I mean, you know, this is what we do. We Voltroned up. We Voltroned up right now. And the Freedmen bloodline is the head. We the arms and the feet. Brother Ali, you have anything you wanted to add from what you heard so far from the first 4 points?
I didn't, you know what, brother? I have to be honest, I didn't hear the first 4 points. I'm just jumping in trying to catch up. Just trying to catch up.
It's all good.
There ain't nothing wrong with going back over them. I love it every time I hear them. Let
we can go briefly,
okay.
Right?
Number one, by way of the 13th Amendment in 1865, our enslaved American ancestors were free from private bondage nationally. Congress passed the Freedmen's Act of 1865 and 1866 on behalf of those ancestors, then identified as freedmen. As their direct descendants, we demand to be recognized by the federal government, its Office of Management and Budget, in its federal directive as freedmen. Number two, we demand that the freedmen, I'm just so used to saying it. I love saying it. It seems like everything that starts with an F is freedmen. We demand that the federal government reestablish the Freedmen's Bureau. Number three, we demand the immediate and complete deconfederatization of the United States of America. I said they even need to take the Dukes of Hazzard out of syndication. Get it off the air. It should never play no more. Anyway, it says no child in Germany is forced to attend schools named after Adolf Hitler or drive down a road named in honor of the Nazi regime or its officers. By the same token, no American child should be made to attend public schools named in honor of Confederate war criminals. No patriotic American soldier should serve in the United States military on bases named in honor of traitorous insurgent anti-federalists. Number four, we demand a reconstructive Freedmen agenda. That term is just so powerful. BTP Josh came up with that one. Shout out to BTP Josh. Let me start over. We demand a reconstructive Freedmen agenda. So when we're talking about this thing and the things that transforms us, family, this is the language that we use. A reconstructive Freedmen agenda, which consists of a fully funded program to facilitate a state repatriation program for the freedmen. This program will provide the resources necessary for this relocation back to their southern states of origin, where freedmen were forced to escape due to government-sanctioned domestic terrorism and state oppression. These states are Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware. So those were the first four that we ran through so far. Did you want to speak to any of those real quick, and we'll let Josh come through, and then we'll get back into the rest of the 12?
Yeah, that very last point is I mean, all of them are powerful, but the very last point stands out because I was just reading not too long ago, and having to remind certain people of the millions of acres of land that our people lost in southern states, and had to leave either due to race to racial terrorism, whether it's was white people stealing the land from them, cheating them out of the land, whether there's heirs property issues, you name it, man. And you've even had information surface recently about how certain black towns were being sunk underwater. We know about towns being burned, but certain black towns being sunk underwater. So that last thing really stands out to me in terms of the agenda for our people, for our particular tribe of people. And I like the fact that it's very, very specific to us, where a lot of people talk about a black agenda. Our thing is we're zeroing in everything. It's like refining the whole thing and zeroing in exactly on who this thing is supposed to be for. So I love that. That's all I want to say about that piece.
Definitely. My bad. We laughing. I put something in the inbox. It was too funny. Brother Josh. So far, you have any commentary on the first 4 points of our political agenda that you've heard so far?
Nah, man, I love it. I love it. I love the language. I mean, all of that stuff is very key from straight off the jump. Especially that reconstructive Freedmen agenda. When you think back to when you say the word Freedmen, it almost is tied to Reconstruction. You can't.
Not almost. Almost. It is.
It is directly tied to Reconstruction. You cannot say the word Reconstruction without, in my opinion, you cannot say the word Reconstruction without talking about the Freedmen, and you cannot say the word Freedmen and not talk about Reconstruction.
That's right.
And if you don't understand American politics today, especially dealing with race in America, or what we would call race, or the problem dealing with why we are at the bottom, right? Why we have been made into a permanent underclass, right?
Yes, sir.
It's because you probably don't understand or have a good understanding of the failures of Reconstruction, or I should say the overthrowing of Reconstruction, and how that is relevant to today, or how that was allowed to be continued. How you don't have a good understanding of how America has never deconfederatized. So that's why when we talk about this, we break down the language. I put some stuff in the chat. I put it on Twitter earlier. It's like, imagine we had, and you mentioned some Logic, Adolf Hitler, high school, and Heinrich Himmler High School, and I say Joseph Goebbels Film Institute, and Jeffrey Epstein boarding school for the girls.
Timothy, we can just get crazy with it, can't we?
Timothy McVeigh. You know what I'm saying? State convention.
John Dillinger, National Bank. It's crazy, don't it?
Hey, it sounds real crazy.
What you said, the Harvey Weinstein boarding school for girls?
Yeah. Jeffrey Epstein boarding school for the girls. Yeah.
That's how silly it is. Yeah.
That's right.
It sounds real silly. And guess what? It sounds silly to us. We can laugh about it, but to the victims of those girls, they and their families, would be very, very offensive.
That's right.
To the German Jewish descendants of Holocaust, that would be very, very offensive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Meyer Lansky Synagogue. To the descendants of the people, the people that banks got robbed and got shot by John Dillinger, that's very, very offensive, right? To the law enforcement, that's very, very offensive. So but people feel like for some reason that we should just not be offended and not be mad, and that should just be allowed to continue. It should be allowed to. Hell no, like that stuff needs to be completely finished and gotten rid of. And it's not. And when we talk about deconfederation, we're not just talking about monuments and school names. We're talking about all of the vestiges, including things that may be somewhat intangible, like let's say the programming that's coming through, whatever the education that's coming through the school systems, right? All of these things that fall under the deconfederation category. That's what needs to happen. Like all of those things need to be gotten rid of. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you might as well. I don't want to. I hate talking about like the Nazis and stuff like that. But I mean, how is it that we're not essentially living under a Nazi regime in America? If we, other than getting exterminated and put in gas camps, if we still exposed to the propaganda and people still believe essentially in that way of thinking, it's still Confederates and Confederate thinking that's
right.
permeating through our society. That's
right.
permeating through our political systems at the national level, at the state level, the local level. So
And,
we need all of that to be out of the way.
and Josh, what we're talking about is something that lasted much longer than the Nazi regime.
Oh,
We had just lynching laws alone and it lasted 89 goddamn years. You understand? So we get to always have this reverence for the Holocaust, which was a handful of years, as tragic as it was. But the tragedy that was the freedmen's life and existence in America lasted for well over a century, and we still dealing with the shit now. We ain't got no justice for it yet. You still got the damn criminals on state capitol buildings. You understand? Where tax dollars pay for on the state level, not
That's
the federal level. You understand? We still that should not exist in this country. Not in Mississippi, not in South Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama, Virginia. None of those places should that even be a possibility. Even to speak of it, you should be looked upon as crazy. It should be a hate crime to even suggest having a rebel flag up in these states.
That's right.
You understand? It should be a hate crime. You understand? There should be maximum penalties for even suggesting such criminal celebration, such a traitorous celebration.
That's right.
We're talking about people who were involved in the most instrumental people in the bloodiest war to destroy America in the history of this country. We cannot stand for that. We will not stand for it.
Yeah,
that's right.
Michael Jordan, before we move on, you got to pull up Michael Jordan's comment. He says, how will we be presenting this to the government? And if they decide to ignore us, what is the consequences for denying us Freedmen Reconstruction? Do we want to go into that?
Yeah, let's break that down real quick, bro.
Okay, so that's a part of our initiative, right? So first, we are going to get into action on the state level. South Carolina is for example, we're going to use South Carolina as an example. We demand, we're going to create a groundswell in South Carolina. You understand? We're going to circulate a petition in South Carolina, and we're going to administer the people's justice in South Carolina. You understand? I'm not going to get too radical and extreme on this platform, but we will have the removal, you understand, of all Confederate monuments and have them replaced with Prince Rivers, Robert Smalls, and freedmen of the like. You understand? We will, and not at this time, but we will launch. We're on a back channel. We will strategize. We don't like to talk about too much strategy on YouTube, but we will organize and strategize and with anyone who wants to be involved. If you want to be involved, we will get in contact with you. We are going to, but this will be something spearheaded by the United Sons and Daughters of Freedom. You understand? We are going to have a membership drive very soon. And if you want to be a part of these transformative historical initiatives, we will let you know how you can be a part of it. But we're not going to get too much into strategy right on YouTube. But we do have a plan, well thought out, and we will present it to all those who are interested in being involved.
Indeed. So let's get to these next points. So we could, just finish the conversation off and let the people know that these are the 12 points that the freedmen that we believe that we should be pushing as freedmen, right? So number 5, we demand a complete analysis on immigration and the effects that it has on the descendants of freedmen. And I'm probably going to stop even saying descendants of freedmen. I'm just going to start saying freedmen. That's who our ancestors were. That's who we are now. And you are what your forefathers were without doubt or contradiction.
Yes, sir.
So I might even change the language where it says, some of it, of course, we may keep it, but on certain things like like point number 5, I think we can just put Freedmen here, because when you look at the native tribes that, or the blacks that were in the Chickasaw, Choctaw, 5 civilized tribes, they are recognized as freedmen today. They are still using the Reconstruction language to refer to
That
those
is a fact.
individuals. And we have to start looking at it that way. When we say the descendants of freedmen, in some ways, it's a distancing of us from them, but we are them. We are them. So we want to like, get real specific on that piece of language. And number 5, because I don't want to belabor any point until we get through it, but we've shown on this platform how immigration has affected our people. Let me damn, man, I'm gonna put this link in the chat. I'll keep it pulled up on my computer. It's called "When Diversity for Diversity's Sake is Not Enough. Should Black immigrants receive the benefit of affirmative action at the detriment of Native Blacks?" Powerful, powerful article I'm going to put in the chat right now. It breaks down in this article how the immigrant Blacks come over here. This was 2013. This article was written, and they take on the complexion, not the actual complexion of the dominant society, meaning white folk and those that look down upon our people, but they take on those attributes and characteristics and become like the dominant society, looking down on African Americans. Make sure y'all pull that up, bookmark that, and read it. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to keep you on this point for too long, but just like I brought up earlier, growing up in New York City, and Logic made the point, as in terms of Chicago, it was the same thing. I'm sure it was the same in other cities around the country too. But you know how that everybody knows how Black men in particular couldn't catch cabs in New York City for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was always this thing: you can't catch a cab. Black man can't catch a cab. But you think about it, just to the point that you're making about how people come to this country and they come here, take on the same attitudes of white supremacists and looking down on the Native Black population. All of those cab drivers who were driving past us when we were younger, who wouldn't take us uptown when we were downtown trying to go back home or whatever, all of those cab drivers were foreign immigrants, whether they were from Africa, the Caribbean, you understand? And even the ones who were not, quote unquote, Black immigrants, they were immigrants from the Middle East, or some immigrant from Europe, or whatever the case is. They all were immigrants, and they all treated us with the same attitude that the white supremacists have indoctrinated into these people. Man, they really just adopted as the, like, say the American way. It's a part of the American way to come to this country and step on the Native Black population. So that's a fact. So anybody who think that we're just making this up, always you can refer back to the greatest example is Black man catch a cab, and all of those cab drivers were some kind of an immigrant person. All of them treating us like crap. You know what I'm saying? And they've adopted that stuff from the white people in this country.
Yes,
indeed. I gotta address this real quick.
Oh yeah, I know.
I knew you was gonna get it.
You knew I wasn't letting this go by. Myron Harris asks, BTP crew, do you subscribe to anything Dane Calloway says? And if we were already here, wouldn't that kill the reparations argument? So the question is framed in a way that this person, Myron Harris, believes Dane Calloway. You can tell by the second sentence.
Maybe, or maybe he just feels like it's something for us to tackle so that we can dispel it. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't really believe it.
I don't know.
He says he doesn't take none of what he says serious.
Yeah, because we don't take anything Dane Calloway.
Let me say something real quick.
We debunked him, absolutely destroyed his arguments on several occasions on this platform.
Yeah.
He's an idiot.
Yeah, facts. Let me tell you something about Dane Calloway. Everything that he says is absolute nonsense. You understand? how long you've been. Let me speak to that second part of that real quick. How long someone's been here has nothing to do with whether they deserve justice or not. I don't like you could be living in your home for 100 goddamn years. If I come rape your wife, steal all your shit, beat your kids up, sell them off, you gonna think reparations ain't due to you because you've been here before I got here? That makes absolutely no sense.
He said he doesn't take none of what he says serious. So
okay, but I'm just
I jumped to the conclusion on the assumption.
I'm just talking about what he said now. Now Dane Calloway has a lot of problems. First, he says slavery didn't exist. Then he says the Indians were the real slaves. Now it can't be both. Either slavery didn't exist or the Indians are the real slaves. Which one is it now? How you gonna talk about something don't exist, but there's a real something in this non-existing entity? Don't make no damn sense. Dane Calloway is mentally ill, and a lot of people are subscribing to a lot of nut shit, and we need to get rid of that. We don't have time for that. You understand? And it's really sad that thousands of people listen to that bullshit. You understand? He doesn't have a program and an agenda for our people. Dane Calloway can't lead me across the goddamn street, and he shouldn't be able to lead you anywhere. You understand? He doesn't have any type of political agenda for the people. He doesn't have any strategies. He gets on here and he talks historical fiction. He makes up comic book history and gets you all like, well, damn, thinking about irrelevant bullshit. Dane Calloway has obtained something my brother Ali calls maximum stupidity, right? He and thousands of people have followed him down that the path of idiocracy. We not going that way. We got serious business we here to attend to. And we will not be distracted by the lame Callaways of the world or none of that goofy shit. We got real things to take care of.
That's right. So let's get through the rest of these. Number 6, we demand a pure reparations program that focuses on closing the racial wealth gap. This is the bedrock of everything that we do as freedmen. And we understand that strategy, right? In developing strategy, we're trying to get to the destination. And then trying to get to the destination, when we see something like 22% of the 44% of blacks move back to the South, we will have the political power necessary to start electing senators. Then we start to change the scope of this conversation. I bring this up all the time. Tammy Duckworth, the senator of Illinois, Macy Hirono, the senator from Hawaii, when it was time for the Asian American, or when I should say the Biden administration was dragging their feet on the AAPI Act or demands, the Asian American Pacific Islanders, because I believe, and this is my theory, that they felt if we do this, the blacks are going to feel alienated. So remember, you had other politicians telling it was funny because they told them stuff that we get told about reparations, right? They said, but you had Barack Obama. They told the Asians, yeah, but y'all got Kamala Harris. So Tammy Duckworth and Macy Hirono said, because there is a tie in the Senate and Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker, these two senators said, if this bill does not get passed, no Biden nominees will get their vote, which means that the Republicans will be able to basically shoot down anybody that gets nominated. If we are, or if we could, control just 2 of the states. Remember, the first 5 states blow mentions because they have the largest black majorities already are Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. If we could get 2 of those states, possibly 2 to 4 senators, possibly, right? But just 2. I'm just going to say 2 senators. We can make the same exact demand. Nothing moves until reparations moves, period. So if there's a tie, They have to come to us. They have to bring out their shoe shine box and start polishing our shoes. It's just the way this thing works. We demand a pure reparations program that focuses on closing the racial wealth gap. This coincides with all of the previous points.
And to your point, Abba, this is why we can't get any real nothing real really out of the CBC, right? Because they still have to operate in states that are predominantly white, right? And according to the empirical research from like 2016 was the last I looked at it, right? Every state in the United States, except for Hawaii, has a white majority. You understand? A white majority citizenry in every single state except for Hawaii. We have never lived a life where we had in not one state, not one. So they enjoy an experience of political reality we can't even fathom. You can't even fathom what that means to be the political majority and control and dominate and influence the majority of the political activity in your state. And so you look at your cities and say, well, brother, we got black cities and we can't even get them to really be beholden to us there. That's because they are suppressed by state politics. You understand? They got to answer to the governor. They got to go to the General Assembly to try to get the budget. They got a state senator and a state representative that they got to get money from. And if all of those people predominantly are white and have another agenda, then we can't run ours the way we want to run ours. We can't do any. See, so our democratic representation is the weakest out of all groups. Why?
That's right.
Because we are spread out all throughout. We only 13% of the population, and we're spread out all over the country. We have to strategically relocate ourselves in the South so that we can become political majorities in those southern states that we named in the platform already, and that we can start taking political control of our destinies in this country. And those political control is going to turn into economic results and benefits. It's all tied in. Politics is the science of who gets what, when, where, and how. And if you don't control a state in a federalist country and government, you will never be the influencer or the dominant motivating factor behind who gets what, when, where, and how.
Okay. Hold on. I want you to address, you and Josh got to address this real quick.
Yes.
I need y'all to address this real quick. Okay. Closing the racial wealth gap may be a falsehood, false equivalence, since others have our stolen wealth too. And lowball for reparations. 12 trillion versus Thomas Kramer's 6.2 quadrillion. We got to speak to this. And wait, before y'all go in, shout out to Joel Armstrong for becoming the first member of the Be the Power YouTube channel. As y'all can see, his name is highlighted with the membership logo next to it. If you would like to support the channel, that is the other way. I keep forgetting. I'm always forgetting his stuff. Always forgetting it. Peace to everybody else that's just joining in. Peace, Kato, Ali Dawu L. Sister BTP Riri is in the building. What's
Sister
up to the
Riri? What up,
BTP
sis?
mods? You already know. So what do y'all say to that? This 12 trillion versus 6.2 quadrillion. We got to touch on that before we finish these other points.
Josh, you want to jump
let me
in?
just say something about that. You know, the 6.2 quadrillion. I mean, I haven't read the whole report, and I'm sure you haven't either, but we should, right? You can get your hands on it. But I say the 6.2 quadrillion was not to say that we should fight for America to pay us 6.2 quadrillion. If you don't understand how much 6.2 quadrillion is, if there's about 300 trillion in total wealth in the world, 6.2 quadrillion represents over 200 times that in 200 times that or 20 times that. Is my math tripping? Yeah, 20 times the total wealth of the entire world, and you want the U.S. government to run us that? No, of course not.
In checks, because I seen some idiot do a clubhouse room that called Dr. Darity a op because we need to be pushing for 6.2 trillion instead of the baseline to close the rate.
Quadrillion.
Yeah,
6.2
Anybody that's
quadrillion.
calling Dr. Darity
quadrillion.
an app, they they got some personal acts to grind. That's
right.
and you can't get caught up in somebody else's personal acts to grind, because you're talking about somebody who's been putting in work on specific for reparations, advocating for reparations. That's all he does. Like, he's been doing this longer than a lot of people that's talking and even been alive. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Keep y'all don't need to disrespect this man, because he's please put in a lot of work that everybody that's talking about reparations now is using his work to push whatever they got to push. Look, who if people have a personal axe to grind, that's not your business. Let them. You don't need to get involved in that. That's not that. But I will say, don't need to disrespect that man's work because he put in the work. Now let me say about the 12 trillion. If you want to
before you go there, Josh, let me ask you this: the 6.2 quadrillion, isn't that a number that Dr. Darity himself helped come up with?
Come on. Yeah, y'all, you talk more Thomas Kramer. Dr. Darity worked in that report too, because that report, that 6.2 quadrillion, is to actually just give out a dollar amount to say what they calculated all the damages and everything they could think of, and they calculated to show, like, hey, if you actually wanted to calculate what the real damage would come to, that's the 6.2 quadrillion. But that's not what we're asking for, because obviously you can't run more wealth that is 20 times more wealth that exists in the whole entire world to us through the Federal Reserve. Like that doesn't make any sense.
But they want it in checks, bro. I've heard some crazy numbers over the year. I've refrained from commenting on and saying to certain individuals that that we're cool with over here at Be the Power. We've had this discussion among ourselves, but when I seen that screenshot that was shared where they was calling Dr. Darity an op, like, Logic, before you come on.
How was this man? I don't want to spend too much time, with Dr. Darity, because this is like, it's sort of like the Dane Calloway argument, right? So it's so much evidence to point to the obvious, which is that's ludicrous, that it's not even worth spending time on. This is just personal axes that people have to grind with people like with Dr. Darity, and that's between them. Look, let me tell you something else about the 6.2 quadrillion. For those who remembered when this report first came out, it was a whole bunch of right-wing news articles that were using 6.2 quadrillion to pretty much say that that's what we're asking for, and so reparations would be ridiculous. So by them, how we interpreted that, and we talked about it last year,
to delegitimize it.
That's exactly. They were trying to delegitimize reparations, but how we interpreted it was that if you have to skip over the 12 trillion or 16 trillion or whatever the case may be that's in that range, that means you actually think that that's feasible, and you think that that's legitimate, right? So to see people that are still talking about the 6.2 quadrillion, you don't understand that the anti-reparationists were pushing the 6.2 quadrillion. So there's too many mind games that are going on here. You're calling Dr. Darity op. That's mind games and manipulation. You're talking about 6.2 quadrillion, and you're bashing the dude for saying at a baseline minimum. He didn't say that's all the funds that need to be allocated to a reparation program. He said as a baseline minimum, we need to close the racial wealth gap. So that's why when you look at our 12-point program, it's not a 1-point program that says reparations close the racial wealth gap. No, it's a 12-point program. And guess what? To facilitate that program, those 12 points, right? It's going to take resource allocation from the federal government. 1 point of that is closing the racial wealth gap. So I mean, anybody is talking about ops, what are y'all talking about, man? What are you talking about?
Dudes be on Clubhouse. They be the kings and queens of Clubhouse. That's why I've fallen back from it.
Check this out, right? He says the 12-point plan mentions the racial wealth. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Go ahead, and read that part off. You said the 12-point plan mentions the
Well,
racial
he's
wealth
saying,
gap.
I think Ali got a delay.
Yeah,
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 he has to have
I
a delay.
understand.
yeah,
He says it's
my thing messed up.
other people have stolen our wealth.
All right,
Well,
listen.
we talk, go ahead.
Hold on. Let me talk about this, right? Because I see we're going down a line that we really don't even need to go down that line, because this is what everybody gets wrong. Everybody gets this wrong, and I don't want to. It is what it is, family. When you're talking about programs and projects that are going to be taken up by the federal government, focusing on the dollar amount is a exercise of infertility. They can fund a program no matter how much it costs. We don't need to focus on the dollar amount. We need to focus on the real cost. What am I talking about? For example, you understand, if I say I have an infrastructure program I want funded, the traditional talking points is, well, we're going to have to cut taxes or raise taxes, or we're going to have to cut spending. You understand? Like, but what you really understand is it's not the dollar amount in a monetarily sovereign government who prints its own currency is worried about. So what we have to look at is how are we really going to pay for this project? We're going to pay this project through human resources. We're going to pay for this project through actual concrete, steel, rebar, all of these different things, right? These are the real resources and assets are how you're going to actually pay for the fulfillment of this project and to get it to completion. Same thing with reparations. The paper money or the US currency, because it doesn't have to be paper, it can be digital. And most money is digital. It's not paper currency that we're talking about at all. And we're not talking about taxes at all on the federal level in regards to funding federal programs and projects or the government undergirding the same. So what you have to understand is focusing on a dollar amount is really insignificant. We need to focus on what the program must consist of, because the federal government can fund it all. We demand full funding, right, of a pure federal reparations program and project. I don't give a damn how much it costs. The government, they don't care. They can fund any program and project. It does not matter. What we have to worry about is the resources and the raw assets and materials that it's going to take to construct this program. So now that makes us think, well, damn, see, y'all so focused on a check sent to your mail. Don't you know liquid can't produce a closure of a wealth gap? Because a wealth is the difference between what you own and what you owe. You understand? Right. So yeah, you can pay some bills and you can get rid of some debt, but you can start acquiring things. But a wealth gap is not based. It's not based upon income per se. You understand? It's based upon ownership. And what is really the crime in America is the economic exclusion that we've had to face in this country, being locked out of ownership. So even when you have a lot of money, you still locked out. Got two prime examples for you. Byron Allen. Everybody in this movement knows about Byron Allen. This man got all kind of money. You understand? But he was locked out of what? Ownership. You understand? Locked out ownership, had to bring up the Civil Rights Act of 1866, had to go to Supreme Court and all of that. You understand? We have another situation in California where we have this wealthy group of freedmen individuals, black, some maybe they're freedmen, maybe they're not, but we had a wealthy group of black people who put together the highest bid to buy this mall complex in California. They outbidded everybody. They had the money, but they got locked out and they sold it to a Russian who had the third highest bid. So we're not dealing with a money problem. We're dealing with a racist problem. You understand? And we're dealing with an exclusion problem. They're locking us out. That's why you'll not own a NFL team in this country. You won't be the majority of a owner of an NBA team in this country, because that's against the rules of white supremacy. You understand? So when you're thinking about a reparations program, you need to be more focused on what you want that program to consist of, not how much money it costs, right? So if you want to say, like, look, we want to infuse capital I understand thinking about the money in terms of how much capital we're going to give to individuals, because cash payments to individuals is a very important part of a pure reparations program and project. Don't get me wrong, and don't confuse what I'm saying. I'm not against cash payments to individuals. We have to have that, but too many people are just focusing on check, 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 and you don't understand that's not repair. We're talking about repairing the damage of the overthrowing of Reconstruction. We're talking about the damage of locking us out of ownership. We're talking about the decades of taxation without representation. You understand? We're talking about bringing about full repair, not just putting checks in mailboxes. We're not talking about just fixing or upgrading people's account in their bank accounts digitally. We want the whole thing. If you're looking for just a check, you're doing yourself a disservice.
That's right.
I don't care. My thing is the funding of reparations. I don't want to put a dollar amount on it. I agree with creating a baseline for it. So I support Dr. Darity in his baseline. You understand?
Right. Which is 14. He upgraded to 14 trillion.
Yeah,
from 12 trillion.
But I fully support a floor being established, but I don't. There should be no ceiling. However much reparations and full repair costs, it's how much it costs, and the U.S. Treasury and its fiscal agent, the U.S. Fed, has the ability to fully fund that. Point blank. Period. So we don't need to trifle over who can come up with the highest number, because the highest number don't matter. Getting the job done, repair matters, and the government is fully capable of funding a pure reparations program and project, no matter how much it costs. But we will not let them lowball us and creating a floor. I don't know if any of you have ever negotiated a union contract or negotiated any kind of contract, but you have to have some sort of baseline. So if you're telling me 6.2 quadrillion is the baseline, then you're just being unrealistic and silly, and you're too immature to be in this conversation.
That's right.
You're too fantastical and fictional to be in this conversation. We have an economist who's been doing this work for 3 decades, who created a baseline. If you don't know what baseline is, let the people who do know what it is do the talking and the negotiation. Just get out of the way. You understand? And so that's where we're at with that. And
right.
Hopefully.
And I just want to add one more quick point to that. It's a point we've heard echoed many times, but it's going to take a lot longer to repair than it did to inflict. So if we had damage inflicted, think about how long that we had damage inflicted upon us, right? It's going to take a lot longer to repair that, to rehabilitate us over the generations. So to think that that's going to just happen with one check, it's good. We definitely need to get them checks. Like as Dr. Darity says, not only for what's the term he used? I'll just say not only for practical reasons, like we need the money, but for symbolic reasons, right? But in addition to that, that's not going to facilitate full repair. But I don't want to diminish cash payments at all. We're not diminishing cash payments at all. What we're trying to convey is that just use it. I mean, it's easy. We think about why. Okay, we're broke. I use broke as a metaphor. We're broke, and if people like to use cast. With the bottom cast. Okay, so when you're in a cast, when you break your arm, you put it in a cast. But before you put it in a cast, you repair it. So imagine if you don't get surgery, your bones just crumple up, and then matter of fact, before you get put in the cast and while you're in the cast, they still beating you up and breaking your bones, and then they take we're gonna take the cast off, and you just got an arm with just jelly, just disfigured and all this kind of stuff. It's gonna take a lot longer to rehab and to try to fix that, that arm than it did for them to stomp on you, and think about how long they stomped on you. So we just got to keep that in mind when it comes to a reparations program. Yes, we need to get the cash payments, but we need them. If it needs to last, throughout multiple generations? Of course, it needs to last that long because it took way longer than that for them to inflict the damage.
That's right.
What is most important is to really get the construction of the reparations program and project right. Because how can you? This is the problem I'm having with people who talk about it. Until you can really talk, it's like until you can tell me the materials and the labor that's involved in the construction of this reparations program and project, how can you come up with a cost? Right? That's like telling me how much it's going to cost to repair my house when you haven't even given it an appraisal. You don't know how much material you need to go purchase. You don't know how many laborers you need to hire to do the work. You understand? You don't know how long it's going to take to do the repair. You understand? These are the real things that you have to think about when you're talking about funding something. Anytime you fund something, you have to do the material cost, the time cost, the labor cost. You're not spending enough time talking about the actual project. Let's spend more time talking about the project, then we can come up with realistic numbers and funding allocations required to make a program and a project like that solve it. But all I'm hearing about is check.
Mhm.
You don't know what the fuck kind of check you need because you have not done the type of appraisal work
That's right.
it takes to even assess the damage properly and say, this is what it takes to repair this. This is what it's going to take to repair that. You understand? So I need the money so that I can hire the workers, purchase the materials, put in play what I need to put in play and practice to actually repair the damage. If it's broken bones, I need to know how much does it cost to put that cast on? How many surgeons do I need? How many scalpels do I need? How long does it take for the bones to actually heal and be fully functional again? How many broken arms do I got to repair in the first goddamn place? You understand? So you have a lot of things that you need to be focusing on, but we always want to focus on check. Check the material list first. Check the construction of the program and the project first. We have to think like architects first, right?
That's right.
And I want to say,
Wait. Let's get through the.
Yeah, look. That's the whole point of the racial wealth gap. To build on what you're saying, Logic. The racial wealth gap is that it is a metric that you can measure. We know that the part of the damage is to damage our wealth, but that's a measurable that's actually been measured. So we're saying, okay, that gap needs to be closed. But go ahead. That's right, something that's one way we can measure the success of a program, by being able to close the gap in wealth. Go ahead.
Let's just read through these, and then we could just start. We could have some discussions on them. Let's just read through these first. All right, number 7. We demand full, unimpeded access to the democratic process via voting unhindered at the local and federal levels. For those who may have been living under a rock, in many of the former Confederate states, or what we would call neo-Confederate states, they have put many voter suppression laws on their books to limit our voting. Raffensperger, who is the Secretary of State of Georgia, when Trump was trying to press him to find all of these extra votes and that there was cheating, etc., said that there was absolutely nothing wrong with Georgia's election. And he noted that it was, in fact, one of the most securest elections that Georgia had in recent election cycles. That didn't stop the racists from getting together and passing voter suppression laws where they purged many people from the books. Many of them were black folks. So we have to make sure that this is addressed at the federal level. And, like I said, we're going to get into whole streams on these points. Number 8, we demand that local municipal police departments in each state be abolished and all policing power be vested in the sheriff's departments, state troopers, and U.S. Marshals departments. Now, Logic, if you want to speak on this real quick.
Yeah, let Ali on. He backstage.
All right. Hold on.
Yeah. Well, okay. So what we're talking about, me and Ali, we really work together to kind of flesh this thing out, right? And what we demand, right, is what I want to see is all municipal policing abolished. So everyone's familiar with the defund the police movement that's going on, and it's really a federal conversation, right? That really makes no sense, right? The problem is that there's too much policing going on. There's too many police departments, too many different policing agencies to actually hold somebody accountable. The problem with municipal policing is there's no democracy in it, right? The chief of police is not an elected official, you understand? And therefore, there's no accountability to the people. He's appointed by the mayor of the cities, right? The sheriff, on the other hand, is an elected official, and he is the chief law enforcement official and officer in the county. You understand? So the sheriff should be the one responsible for enforcing the law, not the city cops. And what you have with the city cops is the problem of too much policing. You got the township police, the this cop police. I know many of you live in states where you got 30,000 different policing agencies, and you can get a ticket for the same infraction in a 5 mile span 13 different times, because there's all these different policing agencies. What we're looking for is to get rid of all this extra policing, too much policing, because it's really just a monetary system anyway, right? Too much policing. Leave that in the hands of the sheriffs, the U.S. Marshals, and the state police, right? That's all we need. If you look at a lot of the cases of abuse of force and the unlawful use of deadly force, it's predominantly by the municipal police. It's predominantly by the city cops, right? So what we want is the city cops to be we want laws and policies put in place that make it unconstitutional and illegal, because it's contrary to democracy. Being that there's no democracy in city policing, municipal policing, there's no public accountability in the police chief. The people can't fire the police chief, but we can call for the sheriff to be recalled, you understand? And we can elect a new sheriff. So there's accountability there. How does this correspond to ending qualified immunity? Well, let me tell you, like, qualified immunity needs to be talked about on the state level first and foremost, right? But everything you do when you talk about policing, we need to talk about it on the state level. You understand? Because police agencies are state departments. They're a product of your state. You understand? They're not federal unless you're talking about the U.S. Marshals. You understand? So your police departments are local. So the Department of Justice is not going to come in and just take over policing. You understand? So if you have a police problem in your city and state, that's a state problem. And I don't care about suing someone who killed my wife or someone who killed my daughter. I want criminal charges. I don't care at this time about suing nobody. I want capital punishment for people who are sworn to protect and defend the citizenry, and then they violate that same oath and turn it and transform into criminals in the act of duty, right? These people we depend on to protect and serve, they execute us and administer justice and execute justice and take it into their own hands right there on the streets and become criminals right before our very eyes. I don't care about suing that person. That person needs to see and face capital punishment.
That's right.
That's what I'm for. Because they don't care about being sued. I don't care about suing nobody at that point. We're talking about people being murdered and slain in the streets. Tasing of pregnant women, the murdering and the execution of innocent unarmed people. I don't care about suing nobody at that point. So I could care less about qualified immunity. I want capital punishment for officers who turn into criminals in the act during duty. You understand?
I want to read Dr. I want you to come in, Ali, if you have any commentary on that. But I want to give a shout out to Dr. Darity. He's in the building. He posted a comment. He said, we never proposed that 6.2 quadrillion is the appropriate size of the bill. We said the key is, at minimum, to have sufficient funds to close the racial wealth gap. And,
Understood.
You know, I think that a lot of people don't understand that. When I hear people talking about quadrillions of dollars for reparations and that, every Black American should get 1 point something. Like the wealth gap. I mean, if you haven't read From Here to Equality, where Dr. Darity and A. Kirsten Mullen breaks down why we get this chasm in the first place, I just do not believe that you're qualified to speak in the public on this topic, right? And that's only one area. It is an important area of closing the racial wealth gap, right? And the check portion of it. That portion of it is very, very important when we're dealing with household income, household wealth, et cetera, et cetera. And like Logic was breaking down, like Dr. Darity has broken down on several of occasions, there are still other things that has to happen that will only heal the wound, as Malcolm called it, over the next several generations. It's not an overnight thing. People are looking at the cut the check. I'm seeing these check memes pop up with reparations on it from the IRS. I'm like, what the hell is this? What is going on? It's diluting the message. And it gives the opponents of reparations an angle to attack it from. We got to get out of that. We got to get out of that, family. And I'm hoping that some of the people that's on this side of things are listening. I'm hoping they are. So
yes. Because again, I'm going to reiterate it again. When we're talking about the federal government funding programs, money's not the issue. Currency's not the issue. So let's not focus on that, because that's a waste of time. They can fully fund any federal project. The government is not limited in any way when it comes to currency production. They can produce whatever amount of currency is needed to fully fund any federal program and project. What we need to do is be busy focusing on the architecture of the reparations program and project.
That's
we
right.
need to know what needs to be the nuts and bolts and the gears and the nooks and crannies of this pure reparations thing. Then then Congress can say, okay, it's going to cost this amount of expenditure to fund that. But
That's
until
right.
you have a program and a proposal to present someone, how the hell you know how much the shit costs? You don't know what you're talking about.
Shut up.
Shut up. 6 quadrillion for what? Then I ask them, so what's the 6 quadrillion paying for? They be like, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Let's talk about I want to talk about reparations. What is reparations? It's justice and repair. Let's talk about the repair, because I know, and the brothers at Be the Power know, and all the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen know, that the government don't have no funding problems. Contrary to what the Democrats and the Republicans try to use as scare tactics, they don't have no spending problem. They don't have no funding problem. And it don't take nobody's taxes. They don't have to raise taxes. They don't have to borrow to get this shit done. They are monetarily sovereign. You understand? They can create as much money as they need to fund the program and the project. Our job and responsibility is to tell them what our demands are to bring about the repair. That's our job. That's what we need to focus on. That's what we need to be talking about.
All right, let's get through these last couple of joints, and then we'll talk. I'm reading straight through. Oh, you wanted to say something, Ali?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Let's get through these real quick. All right. So number 9. We demand economic inclusion in the country that our ancestors built, with ownership being the core focus and contracts locally and federally proportionate to our population. Again, we're going to do breakdowns on each one of these points, not just here on the live stream platform. We're actually going to type up in detail. We just wanted to get the points out, in the website. And let me just make a quick announcement. We're going to do the reparations portion of the website, Reparations 101. That joint is powerful. We're going to have Brother Logic come on, and I'm thinking one day next week, and we're going to talk, how will the government pay for reparations? Our brother Logic has mastered this topic, And we're gonna make that a big deal. We're gonna have Josh come on and talk about opportunity zones. We're gonna have a conversation about it. We're gonna all be involved, but we're gonna highlight our brothers who have been studying these particular areas. Will opportunity zones help our people? We touched on this in the last year on our platform, but I think it's time for us to revisit it. We have several powerful interviews coming up as well. Everything is moving lock and step, and I'm loving it. I'm hyped. I'm super hyped. So number 10, doctors have been to black women what police have been to black men. Freedmen descendants have endured the burdens of discriminatory practices in healthcare, and so we demand policy which addresses and treats discrimination in healthcare as the urgent national matter it is. COVID shined not a spotlight, a whole nother sun on that issue. Number 11, we demand proper educational standards for teaching true American history and for the federal government to make an investment in better education for the descendants of those responsible for the nation's wealth. Number 12, we demand the policies as drafted and or ratified during Reconstruction be reestablished with updates to address the failures of the initial programs, which will help in the process of closing the generational wealth gap. So all 12 of these points, they tie into each other. Reparations is the bedrock by which all 12 of these points are built upon. And, let me put the link in the chat again. Study it, family. Study it. Make this a part of your vernacular, right? When you're talking, this has to be your language, that we do have a political agenda, that we do have 12 points that we are pushing for as a group. And we have other family that have other points that they too are pushing for. And in the very near future, like I said, y'all gonna see this Voltron form, and we're just the legs and the feet. The Freedmen banner itself will be the head. It will be the head. Just stay tuned. We're not playing. We never got on this platform to play. We never got on this platform to grift. We never got on this platform. I've been a reparationist all of my life, as far back as I can remember. I have a video that we've shown on this, even though the information may be off, because it was when I was in the Moorish sovereignty stuff. Well, I was coming out of that a little bit, but I was still holding on to some of it. I was a reparationist. I fought with Moors in the movement who were anti-reparations for years. I didn't come talking no Bernie Sanders, rising tide, lifts all boats, social classism politics, and that black people just need to go with Bernie Sanders' reparations class-based initiative. No.
Or you didn't come out like some of them other Moors and you turn into a right winger.
That's
a
right.
Black white supremacist.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Say we can do for self, and you parroting Ronald Reagan and Richard Nixon policies and all of that.
That's right. So there's a flip side to the coin. On one hand, you have these new people in the conversation of reparations who weren't pushing reparations a few years back. They were disrespecting black people, telling them that they didn't have no culture, that their culture was white people culture, because we celebrated Thanksgiving and stuff. You see? So we're here to let you all know that the Freedmen are on deck. The spirit of our ancestors are rising in us. I mean, it's just the past couple of days have been powerful. We're not going to get into any of that, but things are moving. Things are moving. Anybody want to share anything? Brother Ali?
Yeah, man. So, there's not a whole lot to say. I was just looking at the website and looking at the reparations page. I don't know if you directed anybody to that particular page, but that was laid out very well also. And I would suggest people who are on the BETHEPOWER.org page to go to a website, to go to the reparations page and read through that. So just so that we understand, because oftentimes people ask, well, what is your plan? Do you have any other? Do you have a plan? Because they have been used to pointing to a particular website when it comes to the issue of explaining reparations or what it is or what it should look like and who should be the qualified recipient. So we have all of that on our reparations page on this website, along with that 12-point agenda page. So just so that everybody knows, it's there. You have another source that you can go to. You know, it's not just one place. And ours, I think, is a lot more comprehensive than, you know, some of the other ones that you might have seen, because we make sure that we're using information from Dr. Darity, who is truly qualified to speak in this area, as opposed to, you know, other people who just come off the top with stuff and are now trying to use white economists and so forth. You know, whatever, man, whatever.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna go point for point and do a program. We're gonna do 12 subsequent programs on each point in this platform to really talk down. We was wanting to get them all out tonight. I know there's going to be a lot of questions, there's a lot of information that's thrown out, but trust me, we're going to go in depth with surgical precision on each part of the platform, and our website will be updated routinely, right? So all the information will be out there, all the questions will be answered and things of that nature. I see some good questions in the chat, but like all the shit will be answered, man.
Well, let me answer number one. If you can put Michael Jordan's comment on the screen, what do we say to the doubters who say when we get our $300,000 payments, it will be worth less because of printing of money and inflation? All right. Well, I say to that, if you look at what Dr. Darity talked about, and anytime when he mentions the dollar amount, he always mentions it in 2016 dollars, right? So if whatever the value of that 300,000 is, if whether we talking inflation, whatever the case may be, that 300,000 will be reflected in 2016 dollars. So if you were able to calculate the inflation rate and you multiply that and get the updated amount, that's what the updated amount will be. So if it's 400,000 or 500,000 or 600 or 800, that's what it's going to be. It will be that amount in 2016 dollars.
So what I was saying,
where's the 300,000 coming from?
I think he's talking about 300,000 because it's like what 850,000 per household. So I think if you take the average number per household and he breaks it down to, I think, 270,000 roughly or something. So he probably rounded up to 300.
Okay.
But ultimately, when you talk about inflation, you have to ask yourself this: is 300,000 to the sons and daughters of freedmen going to bring about any real asset or resource shortage in America? Because that's what produces inflation, right? So that's what you have to ask yourself. Then you have to ask yourself, is this 300,000 going to be a one-time installment, or this is going to be a generational installment? That's what I'm saying. I'm sick and tired of talking about these cash proposals when we're not really talking about the repair proposals, because a lot of questions will be answered in the repair proposals if you just stop making cash proposals absent of thinking about the repair. So what brings about like inflation is real asset and resource shortages. So what COVID showed us with the stimulus packages and things like that, and even Obama stimulus packages, is that it produces a benefit to the economy. Black folks create businesses. They don't just buy and hoard all the resources and assets in America and produce some type of shortage, which inflates the price of every damn thing. That's what inflation is, right? So giving up what we'll do is we'll produce more businesses that will produce more hiring and produce more jobs. It will produce more things to buy and consume. It will actually produce more assets and resources.
That's right.
It will help to curb inflationary pressure. It's going to do the opposite of what people are talking about and being scared of. So you really need to understand what inflation is before we even allow people to throw that as pushback to us. That's not going to cause inflation. we don't have to worry about inflation. Is not a risk with reparations. I'm just going to tell you that right now. The government knows how to mitigate and manage inflationary pressures, and fully funding a reparations program, even with that to include cash payments to individuals, is not an inflationary concern.
Indeed.
Yeah. So it's another question. With the freedmen's population projected to be a smaller minority 10 years from now, how do we protect political interests of freedmen from this possibility? We talked about that. That's the back home strategy.
Number
That's
four.
right. And remember, Charles Blow said it. The numbers, if we can be strategically arrayed in these states, he said it during our interview, the numbers really count for nothing. As long as we have the black majority in these states, we would be practicing a form of radical federalism, really not seen since our people have been enslaved. It'll just be us in control this time. And that's the way we have to think about this thing now. We have to, they have us so focused on the general election and the spectacle and the pageantry that comes with it, that we don't understand how the South got so powerful in the first place, how the federal and why the federal government had to bend to the will of the states in the first place. Like there's so, this is when Freedmen University really gets popping. You know, we're going to be adding some things on the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen website, but we're going to be having for suggested reading material the Federalist Papers, and not just the Federalist Papers, but the breakdown to those papers so that we could get an understanding of what federalism is in the first place and how the states are included, why the 10th Amendment was ratified. What was the purpose for the 10th Amendment, where it states, and I paraphrase, all power not given to the states resides in the people, or something to that effect. Why was that done? There's so many steps that we have to that we've been skipping for so long, and this is why I wrote the civics guide, so that we could get a basic understanding of how local government works. Part 2, we're going to expand our civic understanding into federal thinking and federalist thinking. So, you know, we have a bunch of things coming up, family. I'm excited. Anybody got anything else to go into?
Yeah, I saw something that was saying, what was it? Okay, a couple things. I mean, are we still trying to talk or answer some of these questions, or are you trying to wrap it up?
I mean, you can.
All right. So it says, is 40 acres enough when they were giving 160 to weight, or I guess it was saying to whites, or should we update by adding interest to 40 acres per person instead of per family? I mean, you know, if you look at our 12 points, and I think point number 12, it says, 12-point political agenda. Let me go back. It says, we demand policies as drafted or ratified during the Reconstruction be reestablished with updates to address the failures of the initial program, which will help in the process of closing the generational wealth gap. So within some of these Reconstruction programs was, and this is something that was implemented during the war, right? The Homestead Act of 1862. So if you want to talk about updating that, and fixing the injustices in that, we were not given the same type of access to that. So, I mean, why wouldn't we get some form of an updated form of 160 acres, right? Why would it be 40? You know what I mean?
No, I feel you, and you're right. But I want to address this.
Okay.
$850,000 for the racial wealth gap. Oregon has offered more than that.
Yeah, we'll get to that one too. Yep. Go ahead.
Like, I mean,
that's just absolute nonsense, man.
We gotta.
The state of Oregon does not have the ability to create currency, in what you're saying. The state of Oregon is going to give that money in a reparations proposal to all the sons and daughters of freedmen.
No, right?
No.
What are they doing? And who's
Just-
it going to? Is
that's
everybody
right.
like who is the qualified recipients of that type of proposal in the state of Oregon? States do not they're currency users, not currency creators. They don't have the budgeting capabilities to create a generationally effective reparations program. So that is a bullshit offer in and of itself. They can't they can't even fulfill such a proposal.
Well, the thing about Oregon is I think the black population is like 2% of the population. And so, for them to be able to, and I don't even know, yeah, it says Oregon is 2% black, right?
But what
And
are we talking about it for?
yeah, so we talking about, I don't know.
Who's
I
the
did the
freedman in that 2%? Don't bring me no
right,
Oregon
right.
with 2%. We haven't disaggregated, talking about 123 bullshit dollars to people we don't know their background and who even can qualify for a pure reparations program. Reparation is an invoice that has to be filed with the United States government, specifically the United States Congress. Anything else, we ain't trying to talk about that. That's not reparations.
Yeah,
Get
I did the
on
math on
with
it.
that, family.
The budget for them, I forgot what the population is. I did the math on it last year when I saw that come out, and it was, it's, I guess they probably have it within their state budget. That's why that bill is, I don't know if they decided on it or not, but you know what I'm saying? That Oregon bill, that's one problem with the state reparations bill, right? Is because it dampens the ground that we need to stand on to build a strong case for national reparations, right? So it gives the illusion that, hey, states can implement a reparations program then that can substitute for the federal reparations program, when that's just not the case. Because let's look at Oregon is an interesting case, right? It's an interesting example. I believe they put into their state constitution, and essentially that they ban us from even, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but they ban us from being able to move over there, right? So for the longest time, you did not even see no freedmen even in the state of Oregon. Like they would not, and then they had Ku Klux Klan that was essentially, it was a book that was suggested to me by people whose opinions I respect. I believe it was a brother Otis, or no, it was Dr. Darity. I can't remember. I saw it on Twitter, but it was a book called "How the South Won the Civil War." So I picked up that and I started listening to it, and it was talking about, even in the early part of the book, how a lot of the southern states, how a lot of the states that the United States wanted to add, essentially Republicans wanted to add more states to the union because they knew that they were vote leaning Republican, and that happened at least initially. But they quickly adopted the sentiments and ideologies of the Southern Democrats and the white supremacists, the former Confederates, in their state policies, and their state, everything when they were constructing their state, they wanted to, institute white supremacy into their laws. So that's why you see high levels of discrimination and low levels of our people in terms of being percent of the population in those states. Oregon is one of those states. Is probably the poster child for that. But in the okay, glad to go on virtual program. All right, yeah, but see, Oregon is one of those states. But it just I don't like when we start trying to look at what states can do to pay reparations. State, like the brother Logic says, states cannot really do reparations because states
Because
don't
they're
have
currency
the
users.
financial capacity to do it. Only the federal government does.
They're currency users and not currency creators. And I don't care about Senate Bill 619 that's using legalization of marijuana taxes to try to fund justice for our families. That is some bullshit piecemeal reparations proposal to keep your eye off the ball. Why would you even consider such a silly proposal when reparations, first of all, from a state like Oregon? What the fuck is Oregon talking about? Right? We need to, this is about the federal government's responsibility, right, in a failure to provide justice for our family members. The federal government has monetary sovereignty. They're the currency creator. Why would I think about a limited funding source like the marijuana tax to fund my justice. That does not even make sense. I don't care about Senate Bill 19. It's foolishness. It's a distraction. If the state of Oregon wants to do something productive and helpful for reparations, they will come out and make an official statement as a state, either from the governor or the General Assembly, and demand that the government deliver on reparations for the sons and daughters of freedmen. That's what the state of Oregon can do. You understand? And they can do some other things, far as like if they want to do something meaningful to help those people, guarantee state contracts to the equal to the percentage of the sons and daughters of freedmen that are make up the state citizenry there. Guarantee those contracts. Guarantee tax free on the state level. You can do a whole bunch of other shit, but you cannot do reparations on the state level, and nobody cares about taxing marijuana. Do something else productive with those tax dollars, other than try to make a false proposal that you can somehow fulfill reparations. Stop calling everything reparations. You can't. Reparations for what? What is Oregon doing reparations for in the first place? What damage are they preparing? Are they repairing? I need to see the proposal of the Oregon State reparations plan. I need to know what they're repairing with this tax marijuana. What are they doing? Everybody just wants to talk about doing reparations. Just, oh, hey, it's a hot political term now. Let's do reparations. Let's tax marijuana and just give it to. That's silliness, family. Let's stay focused on what reparations is about and what we're actually preparing. You understand? I mean, repairing, right? We have to stay focused.
We were addressing. I see Darity and OG Otis is in the building. We were addressing the comments made by who was that? Was it Box Avoided?
Yeah, he was just asking the question.
Yeah, it wasn't but yeah, there we go. Senate Bill 619. We did touch on this on the platform, if I'm not mistaken, right? At some point, John,
we talked about this last year or something.
Last year.
Yeah. The total black population of Oregon is 77,918. So 123,000, and all of understand a lot of those are children. So I don't think the children will get 123,000 a year. And I don't know how many of those are immigrants, and I don't know how many of those have been living in the state for 10 years. So let's just say half. Let's just eliminate half of those, right? So let's say it's 38,000 something, 39. Let's say 38,000, right? Times 123. I'm doing the math right now. 38,000 times 123,000, and that gives you 4,674,000,000. So what's the Oregon state budget? 2021.
But what does Oregon State reparations do for people in Mississippi and Illinois?
They don't do nothing.
Like why are we even wasting time talking about that shit? Like, what does that do for the sons and daughters of freedmen, though? Like, that's the problem with state reparations. That's a regional program. That's a regional state project that is limited to regional state funding sources. That's not a unified pure reparations program, and we're focused on that. There's a lot of things you can do on the state level. In our 12-point program and platform has a lot of state initiatives, right? But that's not a part of a reparations program and project, right? There's many things you can do on the state level, and we're with you on that, but it's not reparations. That's not what you can do on the state level, not in that regard. Everybody goes straight to talking about dollars, 123,000. What is the program consistent of? That's reparations. We're going to give liquid. Liquid is not going to close a wealth gap, right? And it's not going to heal all the harm. So don't just talk to me about liquid. Talk to me about a full spectrum reparations program and project. Stop giving me
logic. Peep this, bro. The department shall pay each eligible applicant the amount of $123,000 in the form of an annuity payable annually for the life of the applicant. Okay, so what if I die tomorrow?
What if I move out of the state? What if I move out of the state? Do I still
But I'm
qualify?
saying if the 120, let's say they started paying me, right? Let's just say they started paying me out of this 123,000. So I don't know how are they gonna break it up? How do they even determine how much to pay you annually? Because
Yeah,
who
that's what I'm
knows how
saying.
long you're gonna live?
Right. It's based like what is that even? That's what I'm saying. Any real project and program gets evaluated. Like how are we evaluating this thing? Right? Are we just like, damn, who can come up with the highest number? That's some silly shit. Like we really need to see. And what that's what I'm saying. Let's center the conversation around the actual program and project, the things that are going to bring about the actual repair. Then we can evaluate the cost of it. Like until you tell me
But
what the program is, I don't know what's going to cost to pay. That's like saying I'm just going like until I know what you want to eat, I don't know how much dinner is going to cost, right? Until you tell me
exactly.
all the ingredients that are going to go into the meal, then I can say, okay, shit, salmon costs this much, lamb chops cost that much, ribeye costs that much, and for the vegans, all the vegetable shit costs how much it costs. You know what I'm saying? Then we can go and say this is how much money we need to go and purchase dinner. You understand? But if we're just throwing random goddamn numbers out there, we're just all over the place. It's an exercise of infertility, right?
Yeah.
Let's focus on the architecture of the reparations program and project. Then we know the materials required. Then we can come up with a realistic cost.
Yeah, because when we're talking about Oregon, I was telling you, with 77,000 black folks, that's like it's over $9 billion, right? That they have to pay, that the state has to pay. That represents over 10% of their state budget. That they will have to pay, a year, and that's a state that has 2% of its population black, 77%. What about a state that had like Florida that has 4 million black folks, or Texas, they got 4 million black folks.
Go to Mississippi.
With Mississippi, whatever the percentage is way more than 77,000.
Then you gotta look at what is the annual revenue. Like you can't even commit to that because the annual revenue of marijuana is not going to always be consistent. What if you have a low year? What if you have another COVID crisis situation and dispensaries can't even open up and sell marijuana? You understand? We don't know. Like that's such a silly way to try to fund a program. It's so many variables. It's so volatile. You can you're basing your reparations on a limited commodity like marijuana and how much marijuana is being consumed in your state. That is foolish. That's silly. You cannot guarantee each individual $123,000 if you're funding it through marijuana taxes, because the consumption of marijuana taxes and the taxes, of marijuana and the purchases of marijuana and the taxes collected ain't going to always be the same every year. So you can't commit to that to me.
Indeed.
Here's something else. I got something else here, bro. It's it's just like I just want to explore it a little further because I wanted to know what the status was with this, right? So here's the article from OregonLive.com. Hold on, let me see all these damn pop-ups, man. Let me see if I can get to the actual article. Okay, tell me if you can see this here. Did it come up yet on your end?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says the push for reparations stalls in Oregon and other state houses despite racial reckoning. So what happened? What happened? Why did it stall? Louisville, Kentucky.
Let me say, Ali, I just think that I think that some people have drank the quadrillions Kool-Aid and they're trying to find a way to combat Dr. Darity's baseline. Right? And Logic said it earlier. We've said it on prior live streams. What is the definition of a baseline? The definition just it means a starting point. The definition of baseline just means this is a starting point. So if there's a wealth gap that shows that white households are 900,000, and I'm just using this number, and black households are 100,000, then the difference is 800,000, and it's shown that it's been this generational wounding, right? To use that term, wound, from slavery through Jim Crow, domestic terrorism, KKK, redlining, GI Bills. Recently, the article we share all the time, since the year 2000, the U.S. lost $16 trillion due to racial discrimination against African Americans, right? Then that portion of the pure reparations package, which would catch us up with white wealth in that sense. And so I don't even want to say catch us up with white wealth. That's not the proper term. But in income, or excuse me, household worth, right? Then we get caught up. That's what the $800,000 or the $850,000 or $840,000 is for, which brings us to the $14 trillion number that we have right now. I just don't see how anybody is confused by that claims to be about this reparations work. That is baffling to me. It's just baffling to me. I mean, he just said he drank the quadrillions Kool-Aid for sure. Hey, bro, get off Clubhouse and make sure you subscribe to BETHEPOWER.
Okay,
and come get this education.
Let me ask you something.
We don't talk that quadrillion stuff.
I don't want to talk until you can tell me what's for dinner. Don't tell me how much you're paying for it. That's where I'm at with it. What's for dinner, fam? You talking about quadrillion? What are we getting? What are we doing with the quadrillion? What is it like? Do you understand that reparations? And see, this is the problem. I'm 100% for individual cash payments, but this is the problem when people get so focused on that alone, they forget all of the other part, that they forget that reparations is an actual program and project to bring about a certain result. So now all you want to do is argue over who can come up with the highest goddamn number. And you can't tell me shit about a reparations program and project though. All you talking about is numbers on here. What material are you building this program with? What resources are being allocated? What material cost is it? How long is it going to be? You don't know what you're talking about. You want to talk about numbers and be a numerical distraction. We're here to actually build a reparations program and actually get this shit done. So all of this, you want to get on YouTube and Clubhouse and talk about quadrillions, or do you want to talk about what it takes to actually materialize and build a pure reparations program and project? Then we can talk about the cost of it. Other than that, you're wasting time. It's a distraction, man.
That's right.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, Poetic Justice. We go on our BTP Media Group channel. We've had this discussion. We're gonna flesh out the discussion because Poetic Justice is asking about building freedmen communities, and I believe it's in conjunction with the earlier question that he had about our Southern repatriation strategy, right? So, I mean, we don't have the time to get into.
We're gonna do a whole program on it, and I implore you to go scroll down the video list. There's a lot of those questions that you may have about point 4. You can look at it on BTP Media Group. We did did you share it on this one too? We did the Charles Blow interview, but we did 2 programs about that interview, and we answered a lot of those questions on there. So just go through the archives, and then you can be more educated about what we're talking about when we actually go into point 4 in the future program that we're going to do on it. But we're going to go all the way in on it.
Yeah, I don't want to live over there either.
Hey, you know what, Robert Reed said, no one's arguing against the federal reparations program. I think people are saying there needs to be a state and local component, whatever you want to call it. I happen to agree with that. I just think that they're looking at it the wrong way, Logic. I think they're looking at it as the states can actually pay for what
That's the
really should be
problem.
paid for by the federal government. But yeah, there should be a state and local component. Absolutely. Charles Blow said the same thing. He was on. Said the same thing.
Yeah, but
And there is. And if you look at our platform, we're talking about things that can happen on the state level that are incorporated into justice. But the problem is what I've said before, all this money talk. That's what, when you try to bring that to the state level, that's the problem, because states are currency users, not currency issuers. When you have a monetary issue with the federal government, you need to go straight to the source of where the monetary currency is being created. So if you're talking about currency, let's talk to the federal government. If you're talking about state tax exemptions or land appropriation and things of that nature, we can have state talk, but not about no money.
Yeah, and if you calling it reparations, you causing confusion because you're making people think that the state can pay money. So, my opinion, those programs that the state do not need to be called or labeled with as reparations.
They can be called local
Right.
equity initiatives, local state or justice initiatives. You can call it, I don't care what you call it, just don't call it reparations.
That's
just
right.
don't
Yeah.
call it blue
Don't call
magic. Just don't call it blue magic.
Right.
We getting off Frank Lucas.
Yeah, you know,
here.
property taxes. Like one of the things that states can do, is help to alleviate some of the property tax problems that a lot of our family members may be having on their homes due to lack of income during COVID, or even some of our seniors. I know of one elder who's actually a former military man. This older guy, man. I think he served in Vietnam and everything. Was on the last I heard, he was on the verge of losing his house because of taxes. That the mortgage is paid off. He doesn't have any mortgage, hasn't had mortgage in years. But because of taxes, and he fell behind on the taxes, was on the verge of losing his home. I don't know if he was able to do anything about that, because I know he was a member of either the Urban League or the NAACP, and whether they were able to help him with it, I'm not sure. But you know, it's unfortunate to see our elders and particularly veterans going through issues with property taxes where they no longer even have mortgages on their home, on the verge of losing their houses. So there's something like that is something that states can do to help freedmen descendants.
And what we were talking about with the contracts, I think y'all missed that bit, but we're going to go in that thing again and do a whole program. There's things that can be addressed at the state level. And I don't think you really understand the importance of state contracting rights. You understand? And why, instead of telling me you're going to fund a reparations program on the state level from tax dollars collected from your special tax on marijuana, how about you guarantee the percentage of all those qualified individuals that the contracts or the licenses for dispensaries automatically go to those people? They're going to make millions. Fuck the 123K a year. Guarantee us an inclusion into the marijuana industry on the state level. We demand that, right? All the people you done put into jail for selling eighths and 3.5s, and you want to say, oh, we'll use the taxes, the crumbs off of the industry that we created on the state level to give you some semblance of justice, and saying, you know what, we're going to include you as the dominant beneficiary of this industry. That's what I would rather have. Just include us in the industry. Say, you know what, we're going to make sure and set aside 15% of all licenses to freedmen in the state of wherever the fuck. You understand? That's what I want. You know what I mean? And to do it fair, like if it's 2%, do you know how the actual number of 2% of all the licenses in Oregon would be? Do the math on what 2% of that will be, and give all of those licenses and guarantee them to the qualified recipients of what would be a reparations program. That's something that could be done on the state level in all states that have marijuana illegal, and among other things. Not only that, every American industry we should have ownership in. Liquor, you understand? Yes, that too. Every liquor license given, all liquor license, we should have the percentage of liquor license issued to our and set aside for our people equal to the population of that state. Set aside for us. This is ownership we're talking about. America is about ownership, ownership of land, ownership of industry. You understand? Ownership of capital. All of that. We have been locked out of ownership. That's the American way of life. Owning shit. That's what ownership and owning shit. That's what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? We don't just
That's what we talking about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So our brother said he would like to be a part of Freedmen New York. He said he want to start a database here on the Freedmen population to help identify. And you know, this is where our family in California. Shout out to Sister Friday, brother Chad, brother Marcus, brother Chris Larson, Sister Tiffany Quarles. I mean, these are the people that I know directly that's out there, but they actually have a bill that they're proposing at the state level with that purpose. So now we could get disaggregation. And in a state like New York, we need that. We need to know who freedmen are so we can understand where the resources are going so that it's not blanket black, right? We can't just have blanket black anymore. So that would be great. We're going to build on that.
I see a lot of people talking about how come is there a freedman master? Let me explain something to make it crystal clear, right? There are freedmen all over the United States of America. But if you want to be a part of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, we will give you our contact information. What we want is freedmen families and organizations set up. We have central organization right now. Listen to the name, family. What we're trying to do is unite all of the sons and daughters of freedmen. So instead of just saying like, is there a freedmen organization in Massachusetts? No, guess what? We can set up. We are a legal entity, incorporated, right? We have the ability to issue charters, you understand, in every state in the United States. You understand? So if you want to be a part of this freedmen movement, why not be a part of the movement that got the freedmen movement started? We can get a United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen set up in Massachusetts. And if you're really interested, we can talk online and we can talk about how to set that up. If you want to be a part of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, wherever your state may be or your locality may be, just get with us, family. We can get you charters. We can get you set up where you're at. So that's what we can do. We're bringing this thing under one umbrella, and that's the Freedmen banner. You feel me? We are uniting the sons and daughters of freedmen to fulfill this family legacy.
That's right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And stay tuned. Stay tuned. This website is not obviously a finished product. We still working on it. I see the page, the reparations page is not showing correctly. So, but when I look at it through the editor, it's perfect. But then when I click on it, it's kind of.
It shows on mine.
It shows on you. I don't know why.
I see the Martin Luther King video. I see.
Yeah.
I see the financial disparity chart.
Are the graphs?
Yeah, the graphs show up. Everything, it looks
okay.
Straight.
I don't know what's going on my end. My end look crazy on my end.
Mm-hmm. How about in the chat? Can you guys look at the website, the reparations page, and see does it look okay on you guys? Then if you pull it up, and maybe someone can let us know in the chat how it looks for them. You know?
Yeah, let's see. Anybody in the chat, pull up the reparations page on the.
Yeah, another thing I want to I just thought about when it comes to state reparations, right? Certain states have their laws set up to where they can't even do things like that. Like, for example, Georgia. Ain't that right, Naheem?
What, say it again?
Certain states have laws in place that throw a monkey wrench into any idea of reparations on the state level.
Local, that's
even
right.
if they had the financial capacity to pay,
that's right.
Even a small group that could fit in the budget, right?
They have the gratuities clause.
Right.
Cato say he's waiting for you. Not him.
I don't know on what, brother Cato. All
Otis
right,
said it looks
everybody.
fine for him.
Yeah,
Corey
everybody
said
saying
it looks
it's
fine.
so good. I don't know why it looked crazy when I click on it. Everything is
Kelly
distorted.
said it looks good.
The charts is overlapping on the paragraph.
You want me to share my screen?
No,
But hey,
we
we're
not
gonna do a
doing
whole
that. Yeah,
program
we
on it.
doing another program on that.
Oh,
I
okay.
just
And if
I
we're
don't know.
looking
It
for
looked crazy on mine.
everybody who is interested, I've seen a lot. I'm abundantly over pleased with all this interest in the Freedmen movement. We're going to do a membership drive, and we're going to have a full enrollment process and orientation process where we're going to give out guidelines on how to move forward. You understand? So everybody that's interested and showing that interest, continue to show it. We're going to map out how to get involved with the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. We've labored hard and long about this program and process, right? So get involved with us. We will establish regional leadership. We'll establish those chapter organizations and give out guidance, purpose, and direction for what needs to be done in those areas. And we will be very receptive to the information that you all bring to the table. But like, be patient and show your interest. Become a member. Like you see, Corey, Lorenz, and the other brother are members of this YouTube channel. If you are interested in being a member of the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen, go on ahead and be a member of BTP YouTube and become a member of that as well. And our membership program is going to be launched very soon, and that's when we will start identifying regional leaders and regional objectives and goals and things of that nature. So just stick with us, family. We got you.
Oh yeah. So, bros, do y'all have anything to add before we get up out of here?
Mm-mm.
Nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Government is the game, and politics is how it's played. And we about to run a mean game plan on them, family.
Yeah,
He said, "What's up with that hip hop
Yeah, I was
episode?"
about to pull. Yeah, we are gonna do that hip hop episode. I wanted to do that yesterday because Pete Rock is out there talking this Jamaican started hip hop stuff, and we gotta crush that. And y'all
Well, you know
already
what's
know
so
how
crazy about it? The crazy thing is he kind of fell into the trap. Talib Kweli set a trap for him because he was on a live stream or something with Talib Kweli interviewing him, and Talib is the one who came with this stuff about hip hop started in the Bronx with Jamaicans. No, he said
Puerto Ricans.
he said hip hop started in the Bronx with Jamaicans and Puerto Ricans, and that it's really just a cultural expression of them being poor people in New York City. And Pete Rock agreed with it, and people went at his neck, right, on Twitter. So then he made the tweet talking about, well, if hip hop didn't come from Jamaicans, why are there so many Jamaicans in hip hop? And I mean, it's like the stupidest thing that anybody could even say. I'm like, what the heck is going on, man? Come on, I like Pete Rock and the beats that he was putting down, but this stuff is making you lose respect for a lot of these people, man.
we gonna make them reminisce. We gonna make them reminisce.
I'll make them
That's
straighten
what
it
we
out.
do.
Straighten it out,
Straighten
man.
it out. That's a fact. That's a fact. All right, family. Look, man, we got on here to give the 12-point agenda for Be the Power in conjunction with the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen. As Brother Logic was saying a few minutes ago, we're going to be doing a membership drive. We're going to have membership applications on the website soon for the USADOF website. So you can sign up to be on our email list, subscribe to the Be the Power website right now. So let me post that link in the chat again for the 12-point program, just in case any of you are coming late. And if you have any critiques, let us know. You know, we had to reduce this thing. We could have went on into 20, but I was like, I think we just need to do 12 because it just kept going and going and going. So, hey, Riri, now it's another brother that's from the Bronx, from Bronx River, that said Disco Mario didn't start it. He said he started it, that he was the one that started wearing Timbs. It got everybody wearing Timbs. I think we're gonna bring all that stuff up on the platform. I've been watching a couple of them videos. So I don't know if Disco Mario, according to this brother, started it. And there was a group of them and
Yo,
they was
we need to
reminiscing
bring
on it.
Riri on. We need to bring Riri on when we do that joint.
Oh yeah, that'll be fire, man. That'll be
Yeah.
fire. Shannon said 12 is a good start. Michael
And understand that these points are like
reparation.
Yeah, me too.
Like
Man.
these 12 points. You got to understand one when you and y'all will get it when we go in and enhance and go in on each individual point. If you understand if you know anything about the Black Panthers 10-point program and platform, though that then they also had the Black Panther mandate to the federal government. Like this program and platform, it's where we're rooted in. This is like our structure, right? Like we're gonna do more. Like you need a program and platform, right? These 12 points, if you really look at them, it takes a lot to fulfill these things. So it takes a lot to feel each program, and each one of them is a real comprehensive and extensive program. And we really going to do a good education on each one of those things. From number one, getting the federal recognition as free. We already have the federal recognition, but re-engaging that federal recognition and us actually proclaiming our identity and lineage as freedmen. That's something that we need to proclaim. We have to proclaim that. You understand? And then that's going to come into the educational process of point number one. When we go into point number 2 and 3, 4, and 5, you will see how full these programs in this platform are. So stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. I promise you, you will not be disappointed.
And another thing, we want to get the sisters. I've been building with some of our Freedmen sisters. I wanted to actually start the sisters Be the Power stream tomorrow, but things just been kind of crazy. I gotta contact some people and let them know. And we just need a couple more sisters, to be honest with you. So any sisters who are interested in coming on and building, and doing what we do, doing what the brothers do. We need that balance. We need that balance. We need the sisters talking about this, and we're gonna have a I don't think we're gonna do it this Sunday though, Ali. I think we got it. I want to promote it, so we're gonna do it next.
Kevin Samuels thing?
Yeah, we're gonna do a discussion, a round table, a panel discussion called "Gender Wars and the Kevin Samuels Conundrum."
Yes, and I wish that Sister Roz would come on. I wish she would. Sister Roz and I actually had a good conversation about Kevin Samuels, and I actually spoke with her about my position on the things that he says and how I feel about it. And so she knows what my position is, which is like I said to her, I said, you never see me promoting Kevin Samuels videos or anything like that, even though I say that he, like anybody else, raises good points. But at the same time, there are things that I think need to be addressed and need more context and need to be a broader conversation in the way that he puts a lot of stuff. And so I'm hoping that we can flesh out a lot of those things that are causing problems for many people, for many women, because there's a lot of context that's missing in a lot of those things. Like, you remember we were talking about how he was talking about Black women don't want to smile when a Black man asks them to smile, and you remember what we said about that. So it's just like, listen, man, I if my wife is going to work and some nigga talking about smile, and I'm like, I don't want my wife smiling at every nigga just because he told her. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like there's a lot to that that's not being spoken about, and it needs to, it needs to be contextualized, and it's just, it deserves a broader conversation of what he's allowing people to have on his platform.
Indeed. Yeah, we're gonna have a powerful discussion. We're gonna talk relationships. Somebody brought polyandry up on the thread, and I posted some images of polygamy. We're gonna talk. It's gonna be we're gonna talk some talk that day. We ain't gonna do it this Sunday. We're gonna do it the next Sunday. I want to promote it. My time has been extremely, extremely limited as of late, and I just want to make sure that everything is done right. I haven't even set up everything for the sisters to come on and start streaming yet. So, and plus we've been talking with a couple sisters behind the scenes. So, we just pulling everything together. Voltron, and the Freedmen banner will be the head. Remember, we are all just the arms and the legs, moving and walking and running and powerlifting and doing push-ups and pull-ups and all that stuff for our people. We will get this thing done. So let's end it. We've been on for a good little minute. Check the website out, BeThePower.org, www.BeThePower.org. This is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. It is a framework of how we want to move forward. Again, we're going to give a breakdown to all of the points on the website and right here on the Be the Power channel. One more announcement. We are going to do 2 book clubs over the next couple of months. The first one we're going to do is the Bloody Shirt. That's the first one that we're going to do. And there's a reason why we're starting with the Bloody Shirt, right? And the next book is because we never officially did a book club to the book. We just did a breakdown on it. But being that people are having a hard time understanding pure reparations as it was drafted up by the top socioeconomists in the country on the topic, well, we need to do From Here to Equality book club. And that's why we want to start with the Bloody Shirt first, because it is a book of horrors. It is a book of absolute horrors. Then we could get into From Here to Equality. So I want to make an announcement for the book club. We'll do that on the next live stream. So that'll be sometime in September for the book club, the date. We'll do that. We'll give that date on the next live stream. Make sure y'all purchase this book, though. The Bloody Shirt. And the subtitle is Terror After the Civil War. Terror.
Yeah, that's by Stephen Bundunsky. Is that how you say his name?
Budiansky.
Yeah, very good. You got to get that. You have to get that information, family.
Mm-hmm.
The Bloody Shirt. We've read from it. We've been reading from it.
That's right.
For over a year now. You got it's going to be so imperative. Some of the stuff that's in the Bloody Shirt go hand in hand and support and undergird what's in From Here to Equality. So you'll see, once you read it, you'll see why we're doing this one, and then we're going to follow up with From Here to Equality, and we're going to break it down too, right? All of that. Just understand that reparations is about our justice, and then we're going to do another book after that. The third one after that, you're going to have to read The Deficit Myth, right?
Yeah. That should be the third book. That should, because we have somebody on our platform our brother Logic, that can really break that thing down. I actually was listening to your video earlier on it, just absorbing more of the information. Make sure y'all subscribe to our brother's channel, Politics with Dr. Logic. Is it Dr. Logic Supreme?
Politics with Logic Supreme.
No, Politics with Logic Supreme. Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel as well. My brother be going in. He's gonna do a video. He's gonna do a video.
BTP.
Yes, he's gonna do a video soon on some birds that have been chirping lately. Because somebody said we it's a lot of chirping going on. We don't chirp over here. We roar. We roar. The birds chirp. So we're gonna address some of the chirpers real quick, because we have to.
Okay, never mind. Stephanie Kelton.
Yeah, Stephanie Kelton. Yeah. So
And there's other books, like there's other things you need to read. Like for those interested in that particular subject, I really suggest you look into Warren Mosley's work, Soft Currency. That's outstanding work. Look up Soft Currency by Warren Mosler if you're interested in that particular work. And I think it's really a necessary understanding to have when we're talking about federal programs and its funding and capabilities and things of that nature. So really get to know, really get some of that Warren Mosler in your system, really get that Stephanie Kelton in your system, and then you will truly have a new way of understanding your government's monetary operations.
oh yeah, and that is the key. That is the shutdown argument right there. I don't want my tax dollars paying. Oh, we're gonna destroy that, and we're gonna put up a
Yo,
little video on the website as well. Go ahead, Ali.
Robert Reed's question is funny. He said, "What is MMT? That Tut language?" That
Nah,
is hilarious.
that's not the Tut language, Robert Reed. That's not the Tut language. That's not the Tut language.
Stay tuned. We'll teach you up on that. Don't worry.
Yeah, we're gonna catch y'all up. Brother Logic. Hopefully next week we're gonna come on, man. We're gonna set this thing up nice. We're gonna have a bunch of questions, and our brother is just gonna go in dissecting this thing. We're gonna put these arguments to bed. Let them know that the
No, and if
our
you know
brothers.
somebody who want to debate like any of those issues, as far as taxation and how the government's funded, man, yo, bring them on. We'll let you know. Bring
That's
them on.
right. That's right. All right, fam. We're gonna get up out of here. Yo, Kato, chill, bro. Chill. We gonna get up out of here, man. Next, I don't know what we gonna discuss on the next live stream. I want to do the hip hop joint bad. I really I can't keep letting this stuff slide. So we'll let it be known. Today, Tuesday, we probably come back on Thursday, fams. And get this thing, keep this thing moving. The Freedmen are in the building. We resurrected. The spirit of our ancestors moves us. We winning. We winning. Don't ever forget that. We winning. And these are small incremental steps towards our ultimate goal. We just got to get the language right. We got to get the educational aspects of it right, which is why we're going to do the book club from here to equality again, because it just seems that a lot of people just missed it. Because some people just want to argue daily over something. Argue daily over something and not us. We trying to get this work done. So I'll leave y'all with the motto of the platform, which is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. With that, we say peace.